Armageddon presents The Daily, my thoughts on prophecy, on the books of Daniel and Revelation. Hello. So this was supposed to be done right after, the day after the introduction, but as often happens in life, I simply ran out of time. So this presentation is going to be about 10 minutes long. It's pretty short. It's only a part of the presentation of the topic, so expect a few other parts before we're done with this. As you saw on the title page, the topic is the four of prophecy. First thing, of course, is we're going to point out or make it abundantly clear that for whatever reason, prophecy likes the number 4. And in fact, if you look at it, if you study the topic very closely, you'll realize that it's because it's supposed to be telling us something. So in this presentation, or in the following presentations, we're going to be showing you why 4. Please forgive me once again. You know, I'm still very new at this, very much an amateur, and I'm not especially creative. So I hope this is not too dry. I hope that you gain some useful information from it. And please, once again, like and subscribe if you like. And please, please pass it on. Share it with others if you find it useful. Alright, so we're going to just jump into the slides. Let me bring them up here. And then remove myself out of the way. Alright, so our very first 4 in prophecy in Daniel is the 4 Hebrew boys, Daniel and his 3 friends. And they occur in Daniel 1, and they're also in Daniel 2, and then parts of them are in the remaining parts of Daniel, remaining chapters. Alright, our next 4, of course, is in Daniel 2, the 4 metals of the statue of Daniel 2. Namely, the gold, the silver, the bronze, and the iron. Our next 4 is related to this previous 4, the 4 beasts of Daniel 7. Namely, the lion, the bear, the leopard, and the nondescript beast. Now we know that, of course, they are related, in that we have this structure, a structure that's on the chapters Daniel 2 through 7. So we have chapter 2 and 7, they talk about prophecy. Chapters 3 and 6, they talk about persecution. Chapters 4 and chapter 5 talk about the fall of Babylon, or the fall of Babylon's king. So you can clearly see that the 4 metals parallel the 4 beasts. Now, our next slide is the 4 beasts of the sea beast of Revelation 13. So we have, this beast has a lion's mouth, it has bare feet, it looks like a leopard, and it has the 10 horns of the nondescript beast. This, of course, it shows you the connected nature of Daniel and Revelation, that they are in fact one prophecy. It in fact is essentially combining the statue of Daniel 2 and the beasts of Daniel 7 into one thing. So you have one beast that's made of 4 beasts instead of one statue made of 4 metals and 4 separate beasts. Alright, so why the 4? Well, you get a glimpse of why the 4 when you take a closer look at Daniel 2. So if we look at Daniel 2, we see that Daniel 2 forms a structure. The contents of it form a structure called a parallel. That parallel divides the chapter in between verses 26 and 27 in half. So the first half of, or the structure of Daniel 2 runs like this. In A, that's verses 10 through 11, you have the Chaldeans tell the king that no man, only the gods, can make known the dream to King Nebuchadnezzar. In A prime, verses 27 through 28, Daniel says, the wise men cannot, but only the God of heaven can reveal the king's dream. And then we have B, verse 17, we have 4 men, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And in B prime, we have the statue of 4 metals smashed by the stone, and that's in verses 31 through 35. Then we have C, verse 21. Daniel talks about God revealing or controlling the rise and fall of kings, and thus kingdoms. And in C prime, verses 37 through 45, we have a description of the rise and fall of 4 earthly kingdoms, and the final, the final rise of the heavenly kingdom of God. And finally, in D, verse 26, we have Daniel's Babylonian name is mentioned. And this is the only place it's mentioned in the entire chapter. While in D prime, verse 49, we have Daniel's 3 friends. Their Babylonian names are mentioned. Once again, the only place in the entire chapter. So you can clearly see that there's this parallel structure, or this repetition of elements of the story. So what exactly is this telling us by this repetition? Well, if we're looking at the 4 in particular, what it's doing is it's setting up it's setting them, the statue and the boys are set in opposition. That's what the chapter is doing. It's setting them in opposition to one another. And the fact that you have the stone in the dream, it smashes the statue, it's drawing this equivalence between Daniel and his 3 friends and the stone. That just like the stone and the statue are in opposition, and the stone smashes the statue, so in the same sense, Daniel and his 3 friends are in opposition to this pagan statue, this idol. So anyway, that's the first major thing you can draw, is that there's this opposition between the statue and Daniel and his 3 friends. So it's at this point that we end it. So to be continued. But I hope this little presentation, even though it's been rather short, I hope it's piqued your interest in what will come next. And yes, in the next parts, we're going to go into even more details into the four of prophecy. Because actually, of course, there is more information. This is not the only information there is about the four. Of course, I guess the last thing I should say is that I don't think I will be covering every aspect of the four, because for sure there's probably stuff I've not discovered yet. But I hope that this will be a blessing to you, that I've given you some new insights into prophecy. So until next time, God bless and goodbye.